Hello there, commanders, and welcome to another episode of Chinese Faction Preview. This time, something new. We are no longer on glaives. It is SUNTZU with cavalry, tiger and leopard cavalry. I'll give that to the Chinese. They have cool names: Protectors of Heaven for glaives, tiger and leopard cavalry for their cavalry. Much better than what legatus. Hellenic cataphracts. Okay, so that cavalry is spear cavalry. The entire tech tree is going to feature spear cavalry, which doesn't really matter whether it's spear or sword. The playstyle is really the same. The only thing that changes is if you are still spear cavalry, but you're actually shock cavalry and you have a lance instead of a spear, but it doesn't have its own unique unit type, as recognized by the game itself. But yeah, that's cavalry rework territory. I had a huge thread about it in the wargaming times on wargaming forums. I guess it didn't go through because they haven't done anything about cavalry. But yeah, as I said, let's not focus on that. But cavalry, obviously Tier 9 and 10 ability swapping will be present, but what kind of abilities do we have here by default? Obviously cavalry charge, and you obviously want to take it because SUNTZU doesn't have a charge of his own. Then we have mount kick, so an ability that again you will be familiar with because of barbarian tech tree, and well, mount kick is also present on different units, different cavalries in Carthaginian tree and some of the premium units in Greek and Roman tech trees. And then the third ability, we have another new one. You don't recognize this. Tenacity of Steel. Plus 11% melee weapon damage, plus 15 morale. So it is basically a battle cry, except it also gives you melee weapon damage, but it is a self buff rather than an AoE. Right, last 15 seconds, cooldown 30, so it is up half of the time. They're pretty nice. So you essentially, again, you want to synergize that with your strikes. So the basic combo would be that you charge in, and we are talking still just only about unit abilities, right, not the commander abilities. So charge in. That was a very underwhelming charge, not overwhelming charge. Then you use your Tenacity of Steel, then you use your Mount Kick for increased damage. And then you can also use the Opportunist, which is another strike. Also will benefit from the Tenacity of Steel melee weapon damage buff. So yeah, Opportunist is really a regular strike. The only thing that is unique about it is the ability of it to hit knockdown enemies. So any other strike cannot do it. So it is essentially, I think I said that in the SUNTZU preview, which if you want a deeper look into his abilities, go check out the SUNTZU preview. Here we are focusing more of a SUNTZU and his synergy with cavalry. Right, so since Opportunist can damage knockdown enemies, that changes the combo that you charge in. And unlike with any other strike ability, you can use it immediately after you charge in, right? Then use Mount Kick to knock down enemies again, and then it's much easier for you to disengage after the enemies have been knocked down. And I guess I should have used Tenacity of Steel for that plus 50%, just plus 15 morale, but I was too slow because I was too focused on talking. But again, I still disengaged. Suffered quite a lot of damage because, well, I charged into a blob like an idiot. But, well, that's a different topic. Right, and then we have the second SUNTZU ability, which is going to be quite nice for cavalry, and it is one step ahead. It essentially makes you unslowable. Again, is that a word? I don't know, maybe. Right, and normally you would need to stick around for longer to apply your damage with your strike. Not with Opportunist. You can just charge in, deal the damage immediately, and then get out before those pesky dogs and swords get to you. So that's pretty nice. As I said, one step ahead, it makes you unslowable, so if you're running through a forest, or if you charged in and then you got, for example, hamstringed by foxes, or slowed in any other way, maybe other units have an ability, well, cavalry probably not, right? Well, they might have maybe vicious strikes or something. That is a possibility. So anyway, if the cavalry would have any ability that, you know, has the damage phase and then the tired phase, or just straight up tired phase, which slows down by 50% or however other number after you use it, well, just use one step ahead and you don't care about it. Going through forest, you don't care, you're still at your regular top speed, which gives you a quite nice advantage. And unlike Sun Ren, who gives you 125%, so she not only makes you unsolvable, but she also just makes you faster. Cao Cao doesn't make you faster, at least without upgrades. Probably there will be upgrades that just make you faster, right? But it is a regular ability, regular commander ability rather than the ultimate commander ability. So it is on a much shorter cooldown, which means you can use it obviously more often. So it is kinda more flexible with how and when you can use it. Also, it is literally only about mobility, while deadly precision is also about damage buffs it provides. So you kinda need to wager with Sun Ren what do you want to use her deadly precision for. Whether it would be damage or ability to traverse terrain faster. And then that comes to our third ability, third Cao Cao ability. Right, so I mount kick, knock the enemies down, use opportunist to strike the knockdown enemies again, and then get out while they're still down and knocked down. And I guess as any other strike, even if they're knocked down, well, if they're knocked down, it doesn't really prolong the knockdown, or cannot really knock them back while they're knocked down already. Well, that's something that you would need to zoom in and observe to be able to tell, really. I don't know, I guess I didn't really cover the third ability, right? So Cao Cao Cav will be a lot like a support cavalry. So I guess in some sense it would be similar to Boudica cavalry, because Boudica cavalry is also about charging in with rebellion and buffing allies that are already fighting, you know, the melee infantry allies. So Cao Cao is similar, except it requires less of a perfect timing, because rebellion only works on the units while the ability itself is activated, right? It's not an aura, or it's not a targetable area like in case of Cao Cao. So with Boudica you need to really have a perfect timing to use it perfectly. Or Cao Cao you can literally just drive by, or well, ride by since it's a horse, and apply that buff to allies and enemies. So yeah, Cao Cao, more of a support cavalry commander, but quite flexible. His strike abilities give him a really nice combos. You can charge opportunist mount kick, or if you maybe don't have a charge or stuck longer, you can just charge, wait, right, then mount kick, and then opportunist, because you can still strike knock down enemies. So mount kick into opportunist also works pretty nicely. But the default combo and the best combo really is charge in, opportunist mount kick, and then you can use Puppet Master on top of it, which depends on the situation. Obviously, if you're just charging in and getting out and there's really no one fighting in there, Puppet Master is going to be useless. So you want to save it for for bigger team fights, to buff your allies, buff your melee infantry rather than yourself, because as spear cavalry you're not really intended to stay in prolonged fights. So yeah, save that for allies, unless you're fighting other cavalry, then I guess it is just as good for you. And yeah, as I said, yeah, it's quite a nice flexible ability. And as for cavalry duels, you're one step ahead, gives you a very nice ability to disengage or outmaneuver the enemy if you're in a forest, for example, where the enemy cavalry will be slowed by 20%. And you won't, because you'll be like, haha, one step ahead. I don't care about any terrain debuffs. Well, do care about the melee attack and other debuffs, but not about the movement speed debuff. So you can always outmaneuver them if you end up being faster. So yeah, that has been Cao Cao preview on cavalry. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about him. And while you're there, friendly fire that subscribe button, help us bring the war arena back to the West. And until the next video, I'll see you on Arena's Battlefields Commanders.